with gale force winds, and what a pleasure it is to be in conversation here at Central Minex 2024 in the beautiful city of Gander, Newfoundland. And I got to tell you, really appreciate Calibre for stepping up here and being the thought leader in the room today, inviting everybody in to the conversation. Everybody's voices matter here as we build this incredible industry in central Newfoundland. Nick, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick Capps, I'm the Senior Exploration Manager with Calibre. So I've been on the project, the Valentine Gold project, for about 13 years now. So I sort of joined Calibre with the merger of Calibre and Marathon Gold. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting having them come along.
Unpack what the senior exploration person does.
Sure. So basically I'm responsible for all exploration on the project. So everything from prospecting, trenching, drilling, any of our geophysical surveys, everything right up to basically the resource building and resource estimation, and the actual mine building and mining itself. So everything, even some of the drilling within the pits, that falls under sort of my jurisdiction. And then really what I'm focusing on currently is a lot of the grassroots, the greenfields exploration, which is basically we have our three main pits that run along the Valentine Lake Shear Zone, which is the main host of our gold mineralization. And there's almost 5 million ounces or over 5 million ounces of gold in those three pits currently. And my sort of current mandate is to step back from that and see what else is out there and what other potential there might be for further development and discovery outside of those pits.
Wow, if that's incredible. So sort of taking what you have already and then exploring in and around that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a pretty exciting place to be right now. 13 years working in this particular area.
Yep.
That must be amazing.
It's been pretty incredible. So when I first started, it was Marathon Gold at the time. We picked up this property and it was just the Leprechaun deposit. It was less than 500,000 ounces of gold at the time. And yes, in that 13-year period, we've built it up to what it is today. Three major deposits, all over 1 million ounces. Two smaller scale deposits that are 100 to 150,000 ounces each. And yeah, it's a major deposit. It's a major discovery in central Newfoundland. It's one of the first that has really shown and proven to people that there is gold in Newfoundland. It's always been a tough sell,
right?
But with us and then some of the other companies that have really been growing on the island recently, it's it's opened the public's eyes to the potential.
Nick, why do you think that it's a tough sell, or that people don't fully understand the potential of this?
So, I mean, the first gold discovery on the island, I believe, was in the late 1800s, up in Mings Bight, and it was, someone found some gold in a rock, didn't really do anything with it. There's been odd discoveries here and there on the island throughout time. The first major discovery, I'll say, was on the south coast. Was actually the Cape Ray gold showing that Matador has, and soon after that, the Window Glass Hill deposit that they have. And then Hope Brook discovered soon after that. But between Hope Brook, which was in the late 80s, early 90s, and even the last 10, 15 years, there wasn't a lot of, well, I don't know how much gold exploration there was, but there certainly wasn't a lot of gold discovery.
Right.
And Newfoundland classically has really been a VMS province. So it's, we've had some very substantial VMS deposits, some significant mining in base metals, but not a lot of gold mining and not a lot of gold discovery. And it's really only been the past 15 years that there has been a focus on gold in the province. And with us, with the Valentine Gold Mine, with some of the other, the Newfounds and Sokomans and Matadors, you start to see that that has the potential to be a gold district, and not just these isolated occurrences. And that is something that, when we started off, that's how people looked at it. Is like, oh well, yeah, they have a gold deposit, but it's only the one. Right. There can't be much else around because nobody's found it.
Right.
And as it grows and grows and grows, the proof is in the pudding, right?
Right. Do you find now that the conversation is becoming easier when you talk about it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows that. We have a 5 million ounce deposit, that Newfound has their incredible project they have, the Matadors, and it's all there. It's all been proven. Everyone, you can't replace those results that they're pulling out of the ground in drill results. And So I think, yeah, it's certainly gotten a lot easier. I think people are really starting to appreciate that, and you saw that two years ago when there was this major influx of investment in gold exploration on the island, and that's where a lot of these companies were developed, and they've sort of been growing from there.
It must be exciting for you. I mean, 13 years on this particular project, so you would have been really at the infancy of sort of watching this sort of emerge. It must be exciting right now to watch this unfold and also see the investment happening, everything happening in the world causing gold to increase in value. This is like a perfect storm right now.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the economics of our project, a lot of our studies, so you do your feasibility studies to try and just figure out, is the project economic, and if it is, what prices do you need to input, and how much gold does it make sense to extract? A lot of those studies were done at $1,700 gold. That's US. Currently, that's the price of gold is sitting around $2,400 an ounce.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, you're a 40% increase just on year over year on gold there, and that's something that we didn't account for.
Right.
The highest price we were looking at the time was about $2,000, and your rates of return and your overall benefit to investors and to shareholders, even with $2,000, was incredible. So if you look at what it would be now with $2,400 gold, yeah, I think people are really taking notice, and I think that's going to be a benefit to all the other explorers on the island as well.
Nick, if you were sitting around the kitchen table and with your family, and somebody not in the know said, Nick, what's going on with the gold industry in Newfoundland right now? How would you summarize that?
So I think it's an exciting time. I think, like I mentioned, 2 years ago or so, you started seeing a lot of influx of investment on the island. I think that is, in some areas, starting to peter out a little bit. I think, the initial investment that a lot of companies got has been spent on exploration, and you've seen some major discoveries, some major developments there. But it is, in general, harder to raise money in the mining industry currently. It's we're competing with a lot of different areas, with tech, and previously it was cannabis, and there's lots of other areas that people are investing, and there is a finite amount of capital. So I think some companies are struggling a little because they got this large influx of money and they expected that to sort of continue, so they spent that, and now are finding that they don't have as much to raise, or it's much harder to raise any significant capital currently. But then you also have some of the larger players that were either a little more frugal with their money or had more to start with and have sort of planned further ahead, that are still continuing to explore and to operate and are really contributing significantly to the central Newfoundland economy. And I think that is something that you will see continue to grow. Investment in exploration, especially for junior explorers, is always cyclical. So there's always ups and downs. And we had a major up in 21, and then it's dropped off a little bit, but you'll see that come back. And I think as more people explore more areas in Newfoundland, there will be a lot more excitement. There'll be a lot more people starting to see the potential there, and you'll see the investment coming back.
The next year, 3, 5 years, what's that look like for Calibre specifically?
I mean, for us, the focus is really the Valentine Gold Mine. We have this really world-class asset. We have these 3 pits that total over 5 million ounces in resources. It's about 2.7 million ounces in reserve. And I think that's really our focus right now, is getting that to production. So I think the focus is really that. It's really for the construction phase, it's getting that up and running, and then it's like I said, from my side, is figuring out where our next step is. I think the Valentine Gold property as a whole is really our focus for the foreseeable future. I think there's so much potential there that it would be a little foolish to step too far outside of that too quickly. Mm-hmm. I think we really need to buckle down and put some real thought and time and effort into this property, and this is the time to do it. With gold prices where they are, with sort of the new company, the excitement that's been generated around that, we really need to assess that property to its fullest potential and sort of build off that. So that would be sort of the shorter term. I mean, longer term, there's certainly, it's a big island. There's lots out there. So I can't speak too much to what the longer term goals are, but we'll certainly wait and see what happens.
Exciting times, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is exciting. Listen, thanks for being in the conversation. Instead of kind of explaining it a little bit to people that may not be as in touch with it as you and many of the other people in this room, but to a broader audience, I think you painted a kind of a great picture of a sort of an emerging sector right now that maybe others knew about, but now hopefully many others will.
Absolutely. I think there's always been a core group in Newfoundland that knew there was gold here. You know, the Keats clan, the Peter Dimmels, the Tim Frouds, they've known there's gold on the island for years and years and years, and they've worked at it for years and years and years. But it's really those outside investors, you know, the TSX and the people that really invest heavily in mining that we've been trying to convince, and I think we're at the point now where they're really starting to take notice.
Nick, thanks for being on the conversation. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Cheers.